Hi, boys and girls. So today is Tuesday, October the 6th, and we're going to continue with our story of Lily's Big Day, but we're going to look closer into the words that the author, Kevin Henkes, uses. He used many interesting words, and we want to just take a moment, or we want to take today and look at some of those. So one of the first words you're going to, in the story that you're going to hear quite often is the word proudly. Now, when we look at what proudly means, it means in a way that shows that someone is pleased. So if you do something proudly, you're showing that you're pleased with what you're doing. Okay. The next word that we're going to take a look at means you cannot move like you're frozen. Almost like you think of freeze tag. Well, the word frozen is exactly that. You don't have to be cold to be frozen. It just means you don't move and you're very still, like you're pretending that you're frozen. Okay. There's also in the story a part where a girl is at a wedding and when she throws flower petals down the aisle, she is called a flower girl. Okay. And so a part of a wedding may have girls dressed up and toss flowers or carry flowers down the aisle. So we call that a flower girl. Okay. When you make a low continuous sound like a bee, kind of like the sound when you push your lips together, we say you hum. Or in this story, someone hummed something, like you hummed a song. You're not using words or anything, you're just humming it with your mouth and your lips closed. And then the last word is something that means very tired, and that is exhausted. So when you are feeling not just a little tired, but so tired you can't even keep your eyes open like this fellow over here, then we say you are exhausted because you are very, very tired. So I want to go back into our classroom here, and this where we have our lessons. And I know the story of Lily's Big Day is on. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and kind of skip over some parts of this and show you how some of the words are used in here. Okay, so let's take a look. Now, first, I want to look at that word proudly. Okay, so we know that Mr. Slinger talks to Lily about being in about his wedding coming up. Well, if you look at this picture right here, you can see how she's holding her hands out like she's holding flowers. Her face is pointing up to the sky. She's pretending like she's holding those flowers very proudly. Okay, so when you look at her face and how happy she is with what she's doing, then you know she's feeling very proudly. She's acting proudly. Okay, now later on in the story, okay, we find out that Mr. Slinger has a cousin or a niece who's going to be the flower girl. Now, like we talked before, a flower girl is someone who carries flowers down the aisle. So if we skip ahead to the end of the story, we see that here is his niece Ginger, and she is the one carrying those flowers. Okay. Now, Ginger looks different here because she is frozen. She is so frightened of walking down that aisle that she can't even move. So she is frozen in her spot. And thank goodness Lily is there, because as we go on, we find out that Lily helps by carrying Ginger down the aisle. So she is carrying that flower girl. Now, Mr. Slinger did not want Lily to be the flower girl, but that didn't stop Lily from practicing. So when we go back to where she was practicing, we also learned that she hummed. She would hum the song that they would play at weddings called Here Come the Bride. So in some of those pictures that we see her, she's humming as she is practicing. Okay. All right. Now, one of the last words that we also talked about was the word exhausted. And that we really don't see until almost the story is over. And that's when their family, Lily and her family, are waiting to go home. And look how exhausted and tired they are. They can't even keep their eyes open. They can't keep their eyes open. They're laying there. This little fellow's got his eyes even closed. They are not just tired, but they're exhausted. So we have to remember that looking at these words is important when we are